Welcome back to our channel, my lovely friends. Grab a cozy blanket, settle into your favorite chair, and let us get right to the bottom of this wild ride together. I have to tell you, my heart has just been so heavy lately watching the terrifying events unfolding over on Spoon Island. If you've been following along with me over the years, you know that Windermere has always been a place of dark secrets, hidden passages, and chilling mysteries. But right now, it is playing host to a nightmare that I can barely stomach. Our sweet Jocelyn is trapped within those cold, unforgiving stone walls, completely cut off from her family and everyone who loves her. But what really sends shivers down my spine is the severe psychological toll this captivity is taking on Jocelyn. We are not just talking about being locked in a drafty room. We are talking about a deliberate, cruel attempt to break a young woman's mind. It brings back such painful, vivid memories of what happened to our dear Anna Devane all those years ago, does it not? Remember when the WSB got their wicked claws into Anna and shipped her off to France, leaving her psychologically shattered and fighting for her sanity? I see history trying to repeat itself right before our eyes, and it absolutely breaks my heart into a million pieces. Jocelyn is teetering on the brink, fighting with every ounce of her spirit to keep from going mad under the heavy, suffocating weight of her captivity. The poor girl is walking on eggshells in her own mind, trying to separate reality from the terrifying illusions that her captors want her to believe. It is a true test of her endurance, and I cannot help but root for her to find that inner fire that she inherited from her mother. Just when I thought Jocelyn could not possibly endure another ounce of misery, the universe throws a curveball that nobody saw coming. The heavy wooden door of her makeshift cell swings open, and who is tossed violently inside? None other than Liesl Obrecht. Now, I have always said that the good Lord works in mysterious ways, and putting these two women together in the darkest hour of their lives is certainly proof of that. On the surface, you could not find two people more different if you tried. You have Jocelyn, young and full of fiery passion, and then you have Liesl, a woman who has lived 1,000 lives, weathered unimaginable storms, and carries a toughness that is as hard as nails. Seeing them forced into this shared nightmare is like watching oil and water being shaken up in a jar. But adversity makes strange bedfellows, as the old saying goes, and I truly believe that this unexpected, desperate pairing might just be the saving grace they both so desperately need. I cannot even begin to imagine the absolute shock that must have coursed through Liesl's veins when she realized she was not alone in that dreadful place. Liesl has been through the ringer lately, carrying the heavy, agonizing burden of grief over her beloved daughter, Britt. To be snatched off the street, violently ambushed by that ruthless Ross Cullum, and dragged back to Windermere is a violation that makes my blood boil just thinking about it. But seeing Jocelyn there, shivering and terrified, I think it sparked something deep and profound within Liesl. Beneath that prickly, guarded exterior, Liesl is a mother first and foremost, fiercely protective and intensely loyal. I can see her maternal instincts kicking into high gear, looking at this young girl and realizing that they are in the same sinking boat. It is a beautiful, albeit tragic, reminder that when women are backed into a corner, we tend to link arms and face the wolves together. And oh, my friends, the wolves are truly at the door. Just as Liesl and Jocelyn are trying to make sense of their shared prison, the mastermind behind this twisted game steps into the light, and it is a moment that left me absolutely gasping for air. The man we have all been calling Nathan West, the man who has been parading around Port Charles with that handsome, familiar face, finally drops his mask. He reveals his true identity to a devastated Liesl, confessing that he is not her beloved Nathan resurrected, but rather Cassius, Nathan's hidden twin brother. I felt like I had been punched right in the gut, so I can only imagine the sheer agony that washed over Liesl in that cold room. To look into the eyes of the man holding you captive and see the exact reflection of your dead son is a cruelty so profound, so deeply wicked, that it defies belief. It is like a jagged dagger plunged straight into a grieving mother's heart. The sheer emotional manipulation of that moment is something I will never, ever forget. Cassius knows exactly what he is doing, and he is relishing every second of it. He is weaponizing Liesl's deepest sorrow, using the face of the son she mourns every single day to bend her to his will. It is a brand of evil that makes you want to reach right through the television screen and shake some sense into him. Liesl, who has always been a pillar of unyielding strength and sharp wit, is suddenly reduced to a trembling, heartbroken mother, forced to stare at the living ghost of her past. I could feel her world crumbling all over again. It is one thing to face a monster, but it is an entirely different kind of hell when the monster wears the face of your most precious child. My heart just ached for her, and I know yours did too. Because anyone who has ever loved a child knows that there is no pain quite like the pain of losing them. But Cassius is not just there to twist the knife in Liesl's heart for his own amusement. He has a very specific, terrifying agenda. He delivers an ultimatum that chilled me right down to the bone. He looks Liesl dead in the eye and tells her that she must take over and complete the highly secretive cold fusion project that her late daughter Britt was working on for Ross Cullum. And if she refuses, if she dares to stand her ground and say no, Cassius threatens to murder poor Jocelyn right in front of her. Talk about being caught between a rock and a hard place. Liesl is suddenly thrust into an impossible, agonizing position, holding the life of this young, innocent girl in her hands while being forced to tarnish the legacy of her own daughter's scientific work. It is a devil's bargain if I ever saw one, and it shows just how far these ruthless men are willing to go to get exactly what they want. Meanwhile, Jocelyn is forced to bear witness to this horrific exchange, and I can only imagine the sheer terror gripping her soul. She knows that her life is hanging by a literal thread, dependent entirely on the compliance of a woman she barely knows. The psychological warfare is absolutely relentless. Jocelyn is fighting tooth and nail to hold on to her sanity, desperately trying to keep her mind from fracturing under the immense, crushing pressure. She knows that if she gives in to the fear, if she lets the darkness swallow her whole, she will end up just like Anna did all those years ago, broken, lost, and shipped away to some foreign facility, never to be heard from again. It takes a special kind of grit to look death in the face and refuse to blink. And I am just so incredibly proud of the quiet, enduring strength Jocelyn is displaying in the midst of this absolute nightmare. Yet, it is in this very crucible of despair that something truly miraculous begins to happen. When you push strong women to the absolute limit, they do not just break and fade away. They forge themselves into steel. I am watching this incredible, unlikely alliance begin to blossom between Liesl and Jocelyn, and it is giving me so much hope in the darkness. They are two women from entirely different generations, with entirely different life experiences, but they are now bound together by a shared enemy and a desperate will to survive. Liesl, with her sharp mind and fierce protective streak, and Jocelyn, with her youthful energy and sheer stubbornness, are realizing that they are not just helpless victims waiting for the axe to fall. They are a team now, and heaven help the men who underestimate them. It is a classic tale of the underdog rising up, and I am here for every single second of it. I can just see the gears turning in Liesl's brilliant mind. She may be reeling from the shock of seeing Nathan's face on Cassius, but Liesl Obrecht is not a woman who stays down for long. She knows how these villains operate because, let us be honest, she has danced with the devil a time or two herself. She is starting to realize that Cassius's arrogance is his biggest weakness. He thinks he has them completely cowed, completely under his thumb, but he does not realize that he has just locked two of the most resourceful, determined women in Port Charles in a room together and given them a common goal. I believe with all my heart that Liesl and Jocelyn are going to use this time to formulate a plan, a brilliant, daring escape that will turn the tables on their captors in the most spectacular way imaginable. And let us talk about the massive target they are painting on Cassius's back. Oh, I cannot wait for the moment they finally get the upper hand. Cassius thinks he is the smartest man in the room, strutting around with his stolen face and his empty, cruel threats. but he has severely miscalculated. Jocelyn and Liesl are not just going to try and sneak out a back window in the dead of night. They are going to make it their mission to take him down. They are going to expose him for the fraud and the monster that he truly is. The idea of these two women, battered but unbroken, rising from the ashes of Spoon Island to deliver justice, is the kind of story that just makes you want to stand up and cheer. It is going to be a bumpy ride, no doubt about it, but I have absolute faith that they are going to find a way out of that dark, dreary castle. But they will not stop with just Cassius. Oh no. The real rot goes much deeper, straight to the top with Ross Cullum and that slimy Jen Sidwell. These men have been playing God with people's lives for far too long, treating the good residents of Port Charles like disposable pawns on a chessboard. They orchestrated this entire nightmare, pulling the strings from the shadows, and they truly believe they are untouchable. But they have never faced the combined wrath of a grieving mother defending a child and a young woman fiercely fighting for her life. When Liesl and Jocelyn finally break free, they are going to blow the lid off this entire twisted WSB conspiracy. They are going to spill the beans to the authorities, to the press, to anyone who will listen, and they are going to watch Cullum and Sidwell's empire of dirt crumble to the ground where it belongs. It is just so inspiring to think about what is coming next for our ladies. This whole ordeal, as dark and terrifying as it has been, is ultimately a story about the enduring, unbreakable power of the human spirit. It is a gentle reminder to all of us that no matter how bleak things may seem, no matter how many times life knocks you down and tries to keep you there, there is always a spark of fight left inside. Jocelyn could have easily surrendered to the madness, and Liesl could have easily drowned in her profound grief, but instead, they chose to stand tall. They chose to lean on each other when they had no one else. It just goes to show you that there is nothing more formidable in this world than women who refuse to give up. I will be watching with bated breath, my friends, and I know you will be too, as our ladies prepare to bring the house down and reclaim their freedom.